I'm Austin. I'm 25 years old, and I came through the Shores Treatment Center. It was an amazing experience, and I am very grateful for coming here. So, when I picked up a drink, I was 13. It was just something that I thought, kids always experimented with. It was something that, I thought was cool at the time, and, eventually I would put it down. I didn't think I was gonna become an addict or alcoholic when I first started. My father is an alcoholic, so I had it in the back of my mind that I might have the genes to become an alcoholic or something like that. So I thought, well, if I just drink once and then stop, I'll be completely fine. I started doing dry substances probably roughly around the same time that I started to drink when I was 13. I started smoking marijuana. Of course, my father smokes marijuana as well, so I'd always take it from him and hide it. And they very quickly caught on to what I was doing. I was hanging out with a very bad crowd at that time, who I thought were the cool kids, but they're more of outcasts. And believe me, I was a part of the outcast group. I had a very normal childhood. There was no real problems in my family. It was just me wanting to have a group of friends where I felt comfortable with, and for some reason I fell under that group of people that just happened to drink and do drugs. I was roughly 16 when I first took my first pain pill. I had a friend whose mother had breast cancer, and we would steal her medication from her, and I very quickly found out how much I loved that feeling. There was a void inside me that I was trying to fill, and I couldn't fill it unless it was with alcohol or drugs. At the time, I thought it was harmless. I didn't think it was going to bring me any harm to myself or anything or anyone I loved. I quickly found out that I was dependent on them when I stopped taking them roughly for a week, and I would get sick, and I would blame it on the cold or something like that, and I'd have to stay home from school. And then when I found out I needed them in order to feel normal, was a big turning point for me in my life. It was when I started stealing and lying and skipping school in order to feel normal, in order to get that high I was chasing all the time. So a few more years down the road, like I said, I was 16 when I took my first pain medication, and it was roughly around when I was 18 when I experimented with heroin. I was doing well. I had my own apartment, and I moved out of Florida to be closer to my brother. I let a group of friends move in with me to my apartment, and quickly found out that instead of taking rent money from them, I could take other forms of payment in the forms of drugs. And she came home one day, my roommate that was living with me, and had heroin. I was so quickly to take it because I wasn't feeling well that day. It was almost like no thought process at all came across. I just saw it in front of me, and my addict personality was like, I want that, give it to me. And it was like love at first sight. It was, and as terrible as that is to say, I loved it. I fell in love with it. It was what I needed in my life. Things started to go downhill very fastly. Since I wasn't accepting rent money from my roommates anymore, I was accepting drugs in form of payment. I started to get behind on my rent. I got evicted. I lost my car. I ended up getting into a really bad car accident after I got out of work one night. I had been drinking and doing pain medication. I hit a telephone pole about going 45 miles an hour and got a major concussion, and that's when I got my first DUI. It wasn't very long after that I had my license back. I think it was 6 months I got my license back. And I started to, I started to do what I knew best. I started drinking and doing drugs again. And like I said, 6 months after getting my license back, it was another month and I had another DUI. I was a habitual offender, and I refused to do the breathalyzer, and they took my license away for 5 years. That still didn't make anything click for me. I was still doing what I knew best. I was still getting high. I didn't care that I had lost my apartment. I didn't care that I lost my car. It was shortly after that I had to answer to the court systems for what I've done. And I was sentenced 6 months in county jail, which ultimately led to me losing trust in my family, me losing the girlfriend. I had already lost the car, I had already lost the apartment. All the material things I had in life I was losing. I didn't care about anything or anyone at that point. I was spiritually broken. I was mentally broken physically. I was just a complete mess. And it wasn't until a year later that I had asked for help.